Dan here, DD Speed Shop. We're really into it today. We got Danny, the CTO, Chief T-Shirt Officer behind the camera. And we're working back on the 57 Chevrolet. I realized, you always move around the camera. I realized the last video we did on this was actually, last video you watched was probably a 57 video, but that was done like before all the Nomad stuff. But I burnt myself out on that pile of junk, and we're going to work on this pile of junk. That's my brain works. I get tired of working on a Tri-5 Chevy, so I take a break by working on a Tri-5 Chevy. Now, actually, the reason I want to work on this, so a few days ago, or a week ago, depending when this video comes out, Merlin Johnson put a video out about he's got like the ratty 57 Chevy 2-door hardtop, and I love that car. And he mentioned me and Newburn in it, and Newburn kind of built his car, kind of representing that thing, and I'm not going to lie, ever since I saw both those cars, I'm like, I need it. But I think we're going to build like one rattier, so forgot Merlin. His was in a pretty bad wreck. I didn't actually know how bad that car was hit, but when you looked inside, like the dash and everything, I was like, ooh. So maybe it's not quite so bad. Anyways, that's what we're going to work on today. We got some patch panels to put on, and I've been thinking. Oh, before we go too far, Danny wanted to talk about the new, this is actually old. I've had this shirt for years, but we have this shirt out, and it's Morsky approved, so, you know, he's pretty good. And I'm also sorry, I might have said a mean thing or two about Duff Dog, and that was on me. In the heat of the moment, it took a hold, and you know what? You can't be mad at the dog. He can't control his owner. So, Duff, I am sorry. Yeah, website and all that sort of stuff. I'm really on it, eh?
DDSpeedShop.ca.
Yeah, see, that's why she's CTO.
This shirt. It is a limited run.
That's why she's CTO. I'm the talent. So we're gonna cobble together this 57 Chevrolet today. So the plan, winter, eh? The plan is.
Manage your sound sources.
Sorry, I like it when I can't see my breath. The plan today, we're finally getting there. I got this overpriced panel, so I paid $1,500 for the car. What do you think this Chinese panel cost?
$1,000.
No, it was $300.
Oh. You made it sound like it was going to be like the same, if not more, than the car.
Still a ripoff when you pay like a third or a quarter of the whole car. And this was, well, I think it was $249 plus tax and shipping, but either way. So we're going to put that on, and I've made a command decision, and it's anyways, I want to put the front end on, I want to get the headers dialed, and I want to make this thing look like a car today. Now, back to what I was talking about.
What is wrong with you today?
I don't know, it's been a day. Anyway, I want to put this panel on, and here's my thoughts. So this is a 210 Chevrolet. Danny's yawning behind the camera.
It'll take you a long time to get to your point.
Wow, it's going to be one of them days, eh? So a 210 Chevrolet, 57 Chevrolet, were pretty rare. There weren't a whole lot of them built, like 20,000 or something, in comparison to the 200 and some thousand Bel Airs. Every 57 Chevrolet we've done, except for my car, my black car is a base model. So if you're new here, the way Chevys are is 150 base model, 210 middle of the road, and Bel Air was the honky tonk. And there's other things in there, but that's the gist of it. So the big difference is between a 210 and a Bel Air, so is the trim. Now your typical 57 Chevrolet has the gorgeous Bel Air trim and all that here. The 210 didn't have it. A 210 just had the trim that would be top and bottom, and this was body color. And it might have said something in there, I'm not too sure. And then the trim that goes on the back was short, which I actually like. I'd like to find that. And the Bel Air went further. And I think the 210 doesn't have trim here, maybe, and the Bel Air did. I'm not really too sure, but needless to say, we have little to no trim. But you know what we do have a lot of trim of? Four-door, she's yawning again, four-door Bel Air trim. And I think what I'm going to do is we're going to scab together some four-door Bel Air trim on the back of this thing for a few reasons. This is all the same, I believe, the stuff that goes here on a sedan and a hardtop, I hope. And if it's not, well, it will be the same. But we're going to use that full panel. I did this on the, what did I do? A convertible. And people lit me up for it. This is actually a nicer job. But if we run the trim will run here, kind of runs up into these holes. You can just kind of barely see it, and then obviously up here. Well, if I put that panel in on the holes, and then this one here, I'll only have to body work this little section here to be nice. Then I can put the Bel Air trim and the other trim on, and it'll hide all the body work. Work smarter, not harder. So we'll put some filler on it or something, you know, we'll water seal it there.
You gotta shmoo a little something.
We'll shmoo something in there, yeah. I'll probably get like a 5-gallon pail and mix it with the drill as I stand on it, but we'll body work it, and then we'll do that. People are gonna hate this. I've been calling it patina because this car is a piece of shit, according to the internet. But I'm assuming, based on what this car is, this blue that's on it is for sure gonna be like a Rust-Oleum dark blue, because that's what this car deserved. So we'll body work it, we'll red oxide it, we'll paint it some sort of a blue, and then if we put the trim on, it'll break the top and bottom, so when I patina match it, it'll look just fine, and it'll be kind of a Bel Air look. And ultimately, I want to hang out with Newburn and Merlin, and they have Bel Air trim, and I mean, let's be honest, you got to hang out with the cool guys. So
if you're gonna hang out with the big boys, you gotta look like the big boys.
you know, you gotta risk it.
Fake it till you make it.
I am faking it daily. So we're gonna do that real quick. I'll splice that panel on. It'll be an hour. We'll get it all tacked in there. Then I want to tackle the headers, which is gonna be a bit of a nightmare. Oh, she almost tripped and fell. Hopefully the camera got it. I do have, it's a brand new GoPro. It has stability, extra stability on it. I got that just for when you hold it. It's so caring of me. If I can get these headers welded up, just at least tacked together so they're there, then I want to test fit the fenders. I want to put the hood on. I want to put the core support in. I want it to look like a car. Even if it's come apart again, I want it to look like a car. So by the end of the video, which I'm hoping will be maybe tonight if I'm motivated, or tomorrow, depending on how headers go, get it all dialed, and then we can start actually, basically we're starting final assembly by the looks of it. It looks like it, eh? So we'll do that. And I think all I got to order is the front windshield. And unfortunately, we have a pile of welding to do. But I've been kind of waiting for the cold because I wanted to try and experiment. So when you're welding on the panels, they're actually pretty decent. They're not too warped or anything, so I took my time putting them on. My issue is I have very low patience, and I like to weld it kind of fast. And if you weld too fast, you put too much heat in the metal, and then it causes it to warp. So what I was thinking, it's supposed to be like 10 or 15 Celsius below freezing, so I don't know what that is in American measurements, but cold. So if I just dress warm and I weld with the door up, it'll be nice and cool and keep the metal as cool as possible. You know, and probably me being cold, that won't make me rush either. So let's get after it. We'll start doing that. Check out Danny's website, and we'll go from there.
ddSpeedShop.ca.
I thought it was only pans.
Only available in the US.
Oh, right. We have to address that. So Danny, so we can't sell t-shirts in Canada currently because Danielle hates Canada.
Oh my gosh, don't say that. That's not true.
So we addressed it in the last video. So man, we're 4 days into figuring out t-shirts, and we appreciate the hell out of it. Man, there's a lot of lights burnt out in this place. We appreciate the hell
just a squirrel today.
out of everybody who has bought a t-shirt to support us. I can't even fathom it. Like, it's unbelievable.
The really nice messages you all send too. I read every message, just so you know.
Danny's customer service. So again, thank you so much. That being said, there were a few negative ones from fellow Canadians, and actually people from Australia and England were super cool about it. So we just got into it. The long and short of it is, like something like 80% of the viewers of this high-class channel are US. People have been asking for t-shirts, which still blows my mind, so we went, okay, we're going to do it. And while doing it, each country has its own kind of deal of how to figure out what taxes and shipping and So we're like, okay, well, it makes the most sense if we're going to pull money out of savings to buy these shirts up front to do it where the most amount of people are, which is the USA. So that's what we did first to see if it was even going to work. We tried it. It clearly works. You guys are clearly awesome. But man, the amount of hate messages we got from people in Canada saying they're unsubscribing and all that stuff because we're not shipping to Canada. We went through the whole deal. We haven't figured out an economical way to have shipping. So the option currently is buy a shirt and then pay more than double to have it shipped, which we didn't feel comfortable with, but maybe if that's what you guys want, we can do. I feel like either we get the complaint about we're not shipping to Canada, or we get the
it's too expensive.
It's too expensive. So which battle do you want to pick? Anyways, we're working on it. I have my best girl, who I can afford, that lives in the house, on it, and we'll see what we can accomplish. But thank you so much for your patience, Canada. And yeah, let's get back to welding. I like welding. It's way easier than dealing with people.
But really, thanks everyone for buying shirts.
Thank you very much. We can supersize for dinner tonight.
I don't think we need to supersize. But it is winter.
I'm turning the heat back on. Okay, so now we enter the part of the video where you're probably gonna hear the welder in the background humming, and the heater, because I'm cold, but I'm also too lazy to turn those things off. So we have our panel, and this is, the other ones we used are all kind of pre-hacked. This has a nice little step to it, so if you wanted to, you could fit this behind a panel or do whatever and flange it. A lot of guys were asking in the past comments, why don't flange it and weld it? I've done that in the past, and when you buy a flange tool, I find it really mangles up the body or whatever you're flanging. At least the one I had, because it was literally putting in an air hammer, it just mangles it, versus this, which is probably a lot better. So you could do that, but cut it and weld it's fine. Now, if I line up the rocker and then kind of like that, the bottom of the quarter is causing some issues, but we have lots of extra panel, so we should be fine. And obviously height-wise, we're about there. Well, the trim's going to be there. So I think the first thing I'm going to do is trim it right at this flange, get rid of that on the panel itself. The other thing, I don't know if it'll show up or not, this panel is very round, where this one is more factory, has a little bit more squared off. It looks a little nicer, more how it's supposed to be. I don't know what I'll do, if I'll just slice this out and kind of go, or what. We'll have to see what happens when I get there. But the next step, we'll probably just blindly cut this out. I mean, as long as I'll cut below where the trim's going to be, like somewhere like here. Get that out, you know, cut that off. We'll get that all out and about. This is just flailing in the breeze anyway. It's not really doing anything other than a few ugly tack welds. It's full of junk. Well, the amount of filler and stuff in this is crazy. And then that'll be, it'll look like, oh, what are we going to do? You just got to remain calm. As long as we match this, so the wheel arch stays the same, and we match the, you know, curvature here, you're fine. There's no worries. So let's get cutting, I guess. With my mask. Man, all the safety gear, it really slows a guy up. I'll just cut it real quick. We'll get in there and then we'll start putting the new panel in. So, I've got the old piece out, and well, she was pretty hammered. So you actually see what they did. Put a patch panel on this. They actually did kind of flange it or beat it with a hammer or something. All the filler just in there. But hey, I appreciate the guy who did this. Kept her alive for me. Now the next thing we're gonna tackle. Everyone's gives me attitude I don't patch in here or do whatever. It's fine. It's made it since '57. It's probably not seeing a whole lot of salt driving. Well, I'll probably drive in the winter. Who are we kidding? I'm a big believer in oil. I'll just oil in there from the inside, because oil don't rust. Now down here, still on the camera, this is the floor pan for the inner rocker. As you see, outer rocker, we're maybe a 1/4 inch out. So we're pretty daggone close I trimmed it right up to the door opening, and it's flanged here. There's a second piece where we can lay it on. I also trimmed out just a little bit for the tire at the bottom. The situation we actually have right now, this is where laziness is going to bite me, and I probably should take this tire off, but we have a big honking tire on it. We have a diff in there, but the diff is in no way, shape, or form permanently mounted. So it's probably not even centered in the vehicle. I eyeballed it, but it could be further this way and that way. So the quarter isn't super happy to fit. Well, it's actually not bad, but so if we line up at the front, so we're about good. It's actually not bad. Just gotta lean out just like that. So it just barely kisses it. You could probably just go ahead and keep going, but just kind of hold that in place. Oh, something bit me. We have to decide where we want to join it. So it'll probably be something like this. We'll figure out where this panel is, join that, and then it might have a bit of the panel might not be square. Who am I kidding? It'll be square. Ouch. If you look at this, the bottom trim is going to slant up. So as long as we have it here, we're covered. And in here, I mean anywhere in this section here, is all going to be covered by that spear when I put that in. So I'm going to take a minute. I'll probably clean some stuff up. I'll get some different grinding discs. And I don't really know how I'm going to join it just yet. But you know what? When the camera goes back on, you'll be the first to know. Yeah. We'll figure it out. So I've come up with my plan of attack. As much as I do kind of prefer this panel, just because of the stamping, joining it here I think is going to be a bit of a nightmare, because we have to deal with a few compound curves are my nightmare. So this is kind of widening, and it's curving this way, and it's flaring out, and it's different than it is over here, for one. For two, this panel, looking back, I don't know if I cut it down this way or what, but now that I'm going to put this other trim on it, if I raise it up just a little bit, see here we're in the middle of the hole, here's probably close, and here we're probably just going to miss it, so I'll have to body work it. So I'm thinking if I join it right here on this hole-ish, it's a fairly, about as straight a section of the wheel wells you're going to get, which will make, you know, body working it 1,000 times easier, because we just got to go over it and then like a dowel to kind of sand it, versus trying to blend that out into anything. You know, show quality work here. Then I got that again kind of lined up, so I think I will probably start to tack it at the front, get it where I want it. It'll probably have to come down a little bit actually. We'll get it welded up there, and then if this is well at the front, we can still kind of pull it away and see what we want to do and cheat it that way, and get it in there. So I'm thinking that's what we're going to do. So step one will be trim this down to about where we want it, and then yeah, we can start kind of hacking away. And again, the second we get past here, it's irrelevant where the panel goes, because it'll be hidden. And as long as we get this seam kind of back here, it's actually got a dent there too, maybe even right back there. How's that going to line up? If I can see. That's damn near perfect actually. You know what I should probably do is just cut this back section off, mark it straight down, cut that out, that'll be butted up, and then we'll trim it in there to fit. Yep, that's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna set up, put my podcast in, and we'll get it all fit up. It should go pretty quickly. It looks like something in a hurry. And then I don't know if in here, I really want to take the wheel off and do the floor jack right there. If I just crank on the frame, it'll kind of pull the body away from the tire a little bit, and it'll just fit perfectly, right? whew, it looks goofy. It makes the car look narrowed up with the different panel on it, but there we go. So I changed plans a few ways through. I ended up cutting the panel down a little bit, which again may look a little goofy to the eye, but it is 100% irrelevant. Once it's welded in there, it'll be fine. The reason I did that, I wanted to keep the placement of these holes because the bottom trim has these goofy spring kind of mounts, I believe, so just gonna pop in there. So versus kind of having it where you want, trying to mark it and all that, this way the first few will all be together, then I'll just have to mark a few in the bottom. So we'll do that. I do mount it. So the panel does come with this. I don't want to cut myself. But it's kind of a, I don't know, ugly stamping of the door opening. It's not nearly as crisp as you can see. And that's the problem with these panels, repop panels. Everything is very rounded. Versus if you look in here, look how square everything is. Versus that, which is all round, which isn't the end of the world. However, we're only going to do half, so then half would be kind of rounded, half would not, and you gotta, do your body work in there, which, so be it. This way, I think it's better. It keeps the door gap where you want it, keeps the post where you want it, keeps everything where you want it. Weld it all in, and then all you gotta do is just body work this edge. I don't know, body work and edge, I always think super easy. Do that. Everything else will be hidden. The only body work we're gonna have to do on this whole panel, again, I'll use body filler, but really all we gotta worry about is the centerpiece, the back, and the front. And the back here, the bumper doesn't cover a 57, I don't think, does it? You know what, we can go look. My level of care, kinda. Oh no. No, I gotta fix it. So, yeah. The edge were dug, it was right there, so I will have to body work it, but really it'll be fine. It is fine, hot rod. Driving it daily. Yeah, so we gotta get that taken care of. Pretty simple. It is rubbing the tire just a little bit, so take the tire out. We'll have to clamp it to the inner floor and get that. But for now, it's fine. It's in there. I'm happy with it. Ain't going anywhere. It looks like a car. The door's still closed. Boom. Merlin Johnson. And yeah, so now take a quick break. Gotta charge the camera up. Those time lapses, they eat the old battery. But I can take these headers off. I got a set of flanges. And we'll see what we can accomplish there. I'm not thinking it'll be too much work, but that's famous last words, right? I don't know how much these pipes will bend or how much I'm going to cut and weld them and do whatever. Unfortunately, though, I only have a few zip discs left, so I might have to run out and get some zip discs. So yeah, I'll see you shortly. Back at her. Headers. A little while ago, I bought these off Scamazon. So they're LS flanges. That actually came with hardware and gaskets. All I say was like 40, 50 bucks. Do I have dirt on my face? No, I'm just looking good. Anyway, so big block Chevrolet and LS supposedly are similar. Now, I put the flange on. They kind of line up, so we're out just kind of a little bit. This side header fits way better than that side header, so we're going to learn on this side. Hopefully it'll work. Worst case, it's an absolute kerfuffle. And I actually do have a set of LS chassis headers, but I want fender well headers. I want to see if this is possible as well, because, big block stuff, right? Now, I'm hoping, because they're close, obviously if the flange comes out, the pipes kind of become closer together, so that's why they look like it fits. I think once we get them off, it'll be kind of a difference. Also, 3 of these pipes are relatively straight, so pretty easy to kind of pull, bend, cut, whatever. This is the one that has a bit of a funny curve to it, so that's our issue. Now, what I'm thinking is, if I line this one has room, worst case I have to trim that a little bit, but if I start with this pipe and kind of bend that one over, maybe give them a tack, and then put it on the car and see what we end up with, is the plan. So step 1, pull that off. These flanges, oh, by the way, LS flanges. They're the same side to side other than these two holes, and that's why guys can take them and flip them upside down, put them on the other side. That's something you got to make sure. Otherwise, I think they fit side to side the same. So be aware of that before you get too far down the rabbit hole. And man, these are nice thick flanges. I can't complain about that. Be able to weld those no problem. And hopefully these used marketplace headers will work out for me. So I'm going to peel this off real quick and just see exactly what we end up with. I'll be able to just kind of go face to face and see how close we're going to be. But I'm hoping the fender wells will be easier. I've seen a couple guys do it on the internet with chassis headers. I think stuff gets tight in a hurry. But with fender wells, I'm hoping it'll be easier. It'll either be easier, harder, or the same. So here's the flange. And if I line up this hole, we're a little out, and a little out, and then kind of a lot. So you gotta decide, I guess, what you want to do. Like, do you split the middle? Do you start on the end? Then this one's fine, and then it just gets ugly as we go. A rumpf. I'm thinking I'm gonna start with that one. It's perfect, because that one I think I can ratchet strap over or clamp over and get those tacked. And then we might have to trim the ends off and go from there. This is the one I'm most concerned about. That end one's pretty easy to get to. So I think that's the plan. I did take this, I wrote on it passenger side out, so I won't get confused. And we'll see just what we can accomplish. These are also big headers. I think those are 2-inch primaries maybe, or 1 7/8. They're big boys, way bigger than these well, I guess it's about the same size. Well, no, it's bigger than the flange. But, well, let's just put the first cut in there and ruin a nice set of headers that would fit on a big block Chevrolet. Which, honestly, would probably be easier is to put that motor in, put one new rod in it, and put it in. But I've never done this before, so let's struggle. Okay, so we're in the other shop. Originally I had welded this pipe. I put it on, nothing really kind of fit, just because to do that, this pipe was back here, I had to kind of move ahead. I was like, you know what, it fit fine before. Let's just do that, because what it actually did is it pulled the header backwards, so it's going to be in the body brace, which we may still have to trim, but this way is just kind of whatever. So I welded that one in kind of pretty good. This one is one on both sides. I'm sure you're probably supposed to weld this with this bolted down on something like a welding table so it doesn't get all floppy, but it's pretty thick and it's a header, so it'll be fine. I got this big honking clamp, and I just, essentially this one was kind of like that. So I just put it on there and I just pull it over. And I think I'll probably do it, if I can, off of this one as much as possible, because this one's solid welded. Let's do it too. It doesn't really matter, but move it over, kind of crank it over and see what we can do. This one has a lot to crank, so I may have to trim like a bit of a pie out of it, just so when it comes in, it won't be so bad. But we'll get set up and we'll do this one real quick and see what it turns out like. But it's proven to be not as out to lunch as I was expecting. I already burned my arm because I was messing around with this thing, and it turns out the flange got hot. Who would have thunk it, eh? So we'll take this off. Now this clamp is actually Murs. Pretty sure I have 2 or 3 of them, which he loaned me. But the promise I was going to bring it back. and it's like 3 years ago. Honestly, he hasn't used them and I am using them, so I kind of feel like I'm in the right. Okay, so honestly, like it's not bad. So we crank it. Just kind of show you guys here. But we're centered-ish. Even if the pipe isn't perfectly centered on the flange, is almost irrelevant because the pipe itself is bigger than the flange. So put you back there. I do just want to make sure we're not interfering with any bolt holes, which we're not. And tack ski this thing together. Actually, I guess if I just kind of tack it, I probably could clamp it to the table maybe. This thing doesn't weld very good. I don't know why. Couldn't be me. I'm obviously not the problem when it comes to welding. Sorry guys, I'm going to have to block you right out here. Man, I just isn't happy. What's going on here? There we go. Okay, get to the bottom. Not really. Oh, it's gonna be ugly. Should hold it though. See if she'll bounce back. Nope, we're good. Okay, now the end one. Let's see if she'll just go. Would be pretty sweet. Oh! It's fine. Make sure we check on that later. The welds aren't the sexiest. Overall, we're pretty good. Don't worry, we're not on fire anymore. Oh, see, it's out, it's out. So we oblong this one a little, but honestly, it's not bad. Still got all the holes. Should be okay. Ooh, she's bent. So obviously, this pipe is too long. I'm pushing out on it. This one might be too, actually. Okay, well. You know what? I could probably just weld this right to the table. I'll need a minute. So I cut these two off. They sprung out. I then trimmed, I don't know if it came off. I trimmed a little bit off, maybe 1/8 off both. We're flat again. I have it clamped to the table. So it's pretty good. So I'm gonna try and bring it over. So as you see, as I bring it over, it kind of goes down at the same time. So I actually have to trim a little bit more off that, kind of keep going, but that's the plan. Keep it flat, and then I'll probably weld it on the table too. So we got it all kind of tacked. Grab a square here. Yeah, it's pretty close. Enough that a super thick gasket will fill her in. So what I'm gonna do, that's barely hanging on. I'm gonna clamp it back down on the table and then weld it. You know, move the clamps around, and then once it's all in there, finish weld on the inside. I don't know if I put enough heat in it, it'll warp it or not. I kind of think it maybe will just be okay at this point, but we'll see. I'll clamp it down. I'll do what I can. I might have to touch up on the inside just so it seals good, but it'll be enough to get it on the car, that's for sure. I mean, you can go on the car right now, but I'm confident it'll be fine. So let's get that done. While it cools off, we'll go work on the other one. Okay, so we got this one all cut out, and I got it just kind of tacked on. I think the problem with this side, well, here's the problem with this side, is when we go to get it lined up, it's probably about a half hole out, and we're hitting the body mount, the little outrigger. So that'll have to be trimmed along with dinted on the collector. Now, I believe what the problem is, a big block Chevrolet, they're wider, so the header will be further out. So we could either extend these out, which would be a nightmare. I kind of like how they're tucked in a little bit away from the tire, but it'd be pushing out. And I wish I had my light here, but there's a lot more room right in this section because the brace is like a V, and we're in the thick part of the V. If it moves over another couple inches, it'll be in the skinny part. So I'm sure I can probably just cut it, whack it up with a hammer, re-weld it. It'll be just as strong and be just fine. And that header will fit. So we're gonna go carry on. Same deal, this one, I'll show you on the bench, but this pipe here is gonna be tight to get in. So we moved it as far as we could ahead, which in turn will clear a steering box, which will be pretty nice. And this will just have to kind of be, I can basically do it by hand actually. So even if it's just a little bit out, it'll be fine. The front two, again, we'll trim them lengthwise, start pulling them over, weld them all in, go from there. Hopefully the other header's probably done cooling off on the workbench, and we'll get this one together. Actually, it went a lot smoother than I was expecting, I'm not gonna lie. I thought there'd be a lot more pie cuts and screwing around. Ultimately, the problem we're gonna run into is the headers just aren't gonna fit super nicely because it's an LS, not a big block Chevrolet. Like well, here we got small block headers, which I think an LS is probably closer to a small block. See how far they go over? Just whew, and then drop down. Versus these, they start dropping down almost immediately. They are super cool looking though. God, do I love Fender well headers. It's a sickness, but we'll get them on. This side may be kind of a little cattywampus till we get it 100%. But again, the motor's not perfect. Everything is just getting test fit, but we're for sure close enough to carry on into the welding stage and get the fenders on. Fenders and hood. I don't know if I have any hood latches. I think there's got to be some somewhere. There were so many parts of this car I still haven't gone through. But, you know, you gotta do the important stuff like fender well headers. Well, the camera died. We're only at 15%, so we'll do a little end of the night recap. So I finished welding the flange on that header. It went pretty good. This tube was a bit of a pain to weld, but it's fine. We still have a bit of an issue. I had to take off some of the e-brake hardware, so we'll probably end up having like a pull handle on this one. And I had to cut out some of the body mount, which I'm not super stoked about. So the collector may need to be adjusted and welded, but that can all kind of happen later. Ultimately, we have an LS with fender wells, and it really needs a ton of RAM. Because let's be honest, that's awesome. So that fits. This one clears like nothing. This one's a little close, but it fits around the steering box, which is nice. It's just right tight to the body. So, you know, could use a little dimpling and stuff, but nothing touches. And it's tight, so everything's happy there. But that's only it for a night. I don't really feel like doing any more welding. It's getting kind of late. It's been probably a half hour or so, 40 minutes since I was welding, so everything is kind of fine, cooled off. Tomorrow, we'll get back to it. We might play with the header tomorrow. We'll see how motivated I am. I got to clean up in here, and then I want to start hanging fenders, get that all together, see if the radiator I have will fit. Just make it look like a freaking car. I don't know what else I can kind of do, but just get to that level where it's a car, it looks like something. I'm motivated. I do have a steering column for it, but I mean, that's kind of irrelevant. We have to strip a few more things out of it yet on the inside. And unfortunately, I think the next step, unless I want to do wheel tubs and I guess what's up is wheel tubs. But there's a lot of welding. A lot of welding. So maybe I should get after that and just get this thing all together and weld it up. Solid like a drum, or tight like a drum, or sealed like a drum, whatever it is, and it'll look like a freaking car. Order a windshield for it and start really piecing it together. But wow, in a few weeks, I mean, Christmas is coming. Maybe we'll get a few days off for holidays and paint this thing up, make it look like something. Oh, I'm pretty excited about this. Anyways, I will see you guys shortly, but 12 hours for me. Well, cards on the table. It's a few days later. I go to edit the video that you were just watching, and for some reason, when I ended it, I signed it off as I'll see you tomorrow, and I will keep working. And then I carried on working, not realizing until I went to go edit this video that I actually made 2 videos in one. And instead of having like an hour and a half long video, as you can see, the car is very different than where we left it. I thought we would break it up. So you're going to have a weird outro on this one, followed by a weird intro on the next one. So, you know, we really DD speed shop that, but that's the way it goes sometimes. I figured 2 40-minute videos versus 1 hour and a half long video is probably the way to go. Who are we, Mortsky here? Anyways, I want to thank you guys so much for watching. As always, please leave me some comments down below. I know I don't answer every single one, but I sure as heck do read them, and I do appreciate all the support. Anybody who purchased a t-shirt and all that stuff, you guys just absolutely blew us out of the water. We can't thank you enough and can't believe it. But yeah, anyways, I get to now edit another video and figure out an intro to it. But that's a job for tomorrow, because it's like 1 o'clock in the morning. I'm tired, and I am going to bed. So, the video's over. Thanks so much.